Live from Redsfest. Reds fans, 1410 Wing AM is Dayton's radio home of the Cincinnati Reds. We now send you live to the Duke Energy Convention Center.
Fans, let's do this. We are live here at the Duke Energy Convention Center. It's Redsfest. Justin Kinner, Nick Kirby from Chatterbox Sports partnering up together for today. Pretty excited about this. Nick, you've been to Redsfest, but first time doing the program here at Redsfest.
Yeah, really excited to be here with you, Justin, today. Great energy here so far. Looking forward to this event today.
Wanted to see how long we could talk without bringing on Mr. Phil Castellini, who's been
How we doing, guys?
We're doing great.
How's Dayton doing?
Oh, it's outstanding.
Plenty of time to still get down here to Redsfest from Dayton.
The traffic was not bad on the way in today.
That's right.
Pulled right up to a parking spot. It was very clean on the way in.
That's
so
good.
There you
Easy
go.
flow.
But Redsfest, we were talking a little bit before we went live, of course, and the vibe from last year to this year, it's just night and day difference. I mean, when I pulled in right now, there was a line of people waiting to get in right as it opened a little bit ago. Just the buzz and excitement surrounding the Cincinnati Reds right now.
Yeah, there's no doubt. It was a breakout year, and we've been talking for a while about building this system from within, bringing these guys up, and to watch them all, frankly, a little bit early. I think coming up last year, and you saw as they kind of came up one at a time, adding another piece to it. And what's fun is they come up together in the minors, right? So by the time they get here, they've got a familiarity, relationships, and great chemistry, and that just played through the rest of the season. And it's just great energy, and it was the right team to be bringing to the game with the game changing the rules and shortening the game in the way that we did. I just think it was a perfect marriage of those paradigm shifts in our industry and this team coming up at that time. It was just a good fun. And I think that energy is continuing into Redsfest, into the fandom, and hopefully into next year's performance.
So obviously, as a front office, you're never going to go into a season and say, we're going to be a 100-loss team this season. That's never something that you guys say. But last year, from the expectations going in of what it could have been, considering how young the roster was, from the expectations going into what ended up, what was that gap? I mean,
well,
what was that gap?
There was an assumed progression.
Yep.
Not as quick as it was there, because again, this is a process that takes time, and so it was a pleasant surprise that it was quicker, and that and those guys coming up as they did. So it was a pleasant surprise for everybody, fans and the front office alike. And so, but now you see there's a confidence and chemistry in this clubhouse that these guys are ready to take on the world, and I think we've got a lot of sunny days ahead, and these guys are all dialed in, and they've got one goal, and that's to bring a championship trophy back here to Cincinnati.
Phil, I maybe see a lot of parallels between like 2009 into 2010 with kind of where the Reds are now. Do you kind of see that and feel that with like this core that you have now?
Well, yeah, and with this commit, right, you can see the progression, right? You can see the pipeline, and that's really what we've had. And then also bringing in pieces like Martinez along the way. That's what you're going to continue to do to fill gaps and put the rest of the puzzle pieces together. But, the most important thing is these guys are playing hard. They're playing the game the right way. We've got speed. We've got defense. We've got offense. We're, improving the pitching. So I think, keeping everybody healthy, it's the right mix. It's the right chemistry. It's the right energy every day, every play, every inning. That's Cincinnati baseball. That's what we've been chasing a long time.
What's wild about it, too, is in baseball, you don't see a team made up of predominantly rookies. You don't see them have success from a win-loss perspective on the field, and that's what made – I think we're going to look back at last season. I think we all know how special it was, but I think years from now we're going to look back at how rare that is for the Reds to accomplish what they did.
No question, and I think they brought the youthful energy, but I thought they had a maturity that was advanced for the age of the guys, and then that they played off each other in that regard, and so I think that's going to bode well moving forward for sure.
Phil, I want to ask you, one of the interesting things going on in baseball and Cincinnati dynamics is the regional sports networks and kind of how the landscape of the media is changing. How has that kind of been challenging from the Reds' perspective?
Well, there's just a change of how people are consuming media content, and we've seen it coming. I think it came a little faster than everybody expected. And so I think you've got a shift happening in that market, and we're just going to have to adapt to that shift. We've got a great partner in Valley, and as long as they're going to be a partner, they're going to continue to produce a great broadcast for us. But you can read the stuff out there. If there's a change that has to be made there, we're going to adapt to that change. We're going to bring the same great quality broadcast to our fans, and we'll just adapt as some of the other teams have already had to do. But right now we're, stay the course, but you have to adapt to the shift, and people want to consume it where and how they want to consume it. We'll adapt to that.
I also wanted to ask you about, you guys opened a Dominican summer league last year. Seems like you guys have, or an academy, I'm sorry. Seems like you guys have shifted more towards international scouting and development. Has that kind of been a emphasis?
Big time, and just moved to a new academy, and we're refurbishing it now, putting a lot of money down there, and that's a huge part of the pipeline. So making a big investment in the Dominican and the academy down there. We've got a great staff down there. We've got some great scouts doing great work, and so that's a huge part of what we're doing. A lot of teams are investing a lot of money down there, and we're doing our share to make ours the best that it can be for our team. And it's a beautiful complex to begin with, and then we're doing a significant renovation over the next 18 months.
Why do some teams invest heavily in that department and other teams are a little kind of 1 foot in, 1 foot out? What is so important that the Reds have been so aggressive as far as that's concerned?
That's where the talent is, right? I think we've got. I think you're finding talent from everywhere, but there's no question that the talent is there. And I will tell you, there won't be any team with a foot out. I mean, you play the tape forward 3 years, everybody's making huge investments in the Dominican, and they'll continue to do that. So I think that's just, that's one of those things that you got to do to develop the talent, and that's where a lot of the talent is, and it's the appropriate place to be making an investment.
Last offseason, the Reds extended Hunter Green. What's your kind of thoughts on extending maybe some of the other young players?
You guys are going to have to wait to talk to Nick about that. I think it might be time to transition into some ballpark chatter.
That's fair.
You guys are taking me down a hole that is not my hole to dive in.
So, Ellie De La Cruz, when are you guys going to sign him? No, I'm just joking.
Yeah.
We're good. We'll get we'll
back to the ballpark.
Yes, back to the ballpark we go. Obviously every year we talk about some of the changes or any kind of renovations that are made to the ballpark. It's always adapting. What are some of the key highlights and projects? If you will,
I'll start with our BetMGM partnership. That's been great. We had them in a temporary location in the ballpark at the machine room. That's always been a challenging space for us, and it was a place to get that started, but obviously not ideal. We were working on a different location for the last year. We acquired the space across the street where Galo Park used to be, and MGM's been in there for a couple months. We have partnered with Nation Kitchen and Bar that just opened their bar last night, and the full restaurant service is going to be open in the coming weeks, but that's going to be a phenomenal location, a great partnership with both BetMGM and Nation. So that's going to be a great thing right across the street from the ballpark. Moving into the ballpark, we are redoing our Diamond Club for the first time. Really, gutting it and redoing it for the first time since the ballpark opened. More seats inside. We never had as many seats inside as outside, so that was always a challenge. The buffet was kind of a challenge to get people through, and so doing a major renovation down there for the first time since the ballpark opened. We're really excited about that. Lexus is still our sponsor down there. But the most interesting thing that I think all the fans can see and appreciate is the crowds are back. Fans are back, which we love, and we always want to make sure we deliver the best ballpark experience possible, and we steal shamelessly from ideas of sporting venues all over the country. And so we're taking the entire third base concourse. That entire concession stand is being gutted into a walk-in market concept. All the same hot food offerings will be there, but it's going to be walk-in, checkout POS to where we should cut the times and line times in half with that project. So that it's all about getting the people through so we can get you back to your seat and enjoy the game. So that's a huge change happening this year that I think is really going to benefit the fan experience.
The Reds Community Fund, you guys won a big award this week.
We've been in the finals of that for years, and so I think it was a real honor to win that award. We've got such great partners. That started with just P&G back in 2010 and then grew to be 6, 7, 8 partners, Kroger, Zoo, GE Aviation, so many others. And so much great work has been done over the years. So finally having one of those projects get recognized nationally is huge. We touch over 50,000 kids a year with the community fund efforts. We've invested just the field renovation P&G projects since 2010 and they grew from one field to fields with community centers and gardens and parks and all kinds of stuff. So it was a real blessing for that group of volunteers, and people do in-kind donations. We've got 7, 8 different partners. To finally have that work be recognized nationally by the league was a real honor.
We have Phil Castellini hanging out with us here again. Justin Kinner, Nick Kirby, live here at the Duke Energy Convention Center, Redsfest. And it didn't take long for the foot traffic just to make this a very busy and happening place right now. Just Redsfest in general, it's the biggest fan fest in all of Major League Baseball.
Yeah, well, the best fans in baseball deserve the best fan fest in baseball, and that's what we try and deliver here every year.
If you're just Phil Castellini, the Reds fan, and you're coming to Reds Fest for the first time, what is the spot that everyone needs to go check out?
Well, I always tell people the main stage we program all day, and so there's a lot of entertaining stuff. But then I think you really attack Reds Fest based on the demographic that you're bringing to the event, and we have literally something for all ages. So tons of kids activities. We've got a great Hall of Fame booth, plenty of retail, sports bar. If you want to hang out, check out the main stage, have a cold one, watch some of the other sporting stuff going on. So I think there's really something here for everybody. Poker tonight with the players. And so the idea that we are creating is a fan fest for all fans of all ages and to keep you busy all day, and plenty of wonderful things to see and do here.
All right. Well, Phil, thank you so much.
All right. Thank you, guys. Thanks, Dayton. Still time to come on down, Dayton. So hope to see you. Thank you, guys.
All right. Again, Jocelyn Kidder, Nick Kirby, live here from the Duke Energy Convention Center, Reds Fest, and Phil Castellini, awesome enough to give us some time. Every year, we always kick the show off with him. Thank you, sir. Appreciate you. All right. We'll step away for a few moments. And this is from what I've heard, Nick. This is the lineup that we have. So we're going to be talking with Spencer Steer coming up around the corner at some point. David Bell's going to hang out with us. Will Benson. So, again, we're really excited for the lineup that we have here for the Reds fans in attendance and for those listening on 1410 Wing AM back in Dayton. All right. We'll step away for a few moments. More of our special coverage live here from Reds Fest, the Duke Energy Convention Center. We'll be right back.
Jim Gaffigan here with some more Straight Talk. Let's take a moment to appreciate our sweet children, loving grandparents, and eternal soulmates. Now let's use them to save money on wireless. Because with the Straight Talk Silver Plan, you get 4 lines for just $25 a month with unlimited data and no contracts. So add those human loved ones, and save money. Thanks, kids. They're finally worth it. Straight Talk Wireless, available at Walmart.
Get 4 lines on Silver Unlimited for $25 per line per month, plus taxes and fees. For data management practices and additional terms, visit straighttalk.com.
Some days I cover up because of my moderate to severe plaque psoriasis. Now I'm hitting the road with clearer skin thanks to Skyrizi, Risankizumab Riza, a prescription-only 150 milligram injection for adults who are candidates for systemic or phototherapy. With Skyrizi, 3 out of 4 people achieved 90% clearer skin at 4 months. And Skyrizi is just 4 doses a year after 2 starter doses.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions and an increased risk of infections or a lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check for infection and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms such as fever, sweats, chills, muscle aches, or cough, or if you plan to or recently received a vaccine.
Thanks to Skyrizi, there's nothing on my skin, and that means everything. Your doctor today about Skyrizi, the #1 dermatologist prescribed biologic in psoriasis, and visit skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKY-RIZZI to learn more.
O'Reilly. You've got questions? O'Reilly Auto Parts has answers. Need a pro you can trust? We've got that too. No matter what you need, our professional parts people have the training and expertise to help you do things right. Deep automotive knowledge. Just one part that makes O'Reilly stand apart. The professional parts people.
O'Reilly Auto Parts. The smarter way to clean your floors. It's time to make the swap. Swiffer Power Mop.
Introducing the new Swiffer Power Mop. The all-in-one tool that gives you a mop and bucket clean in half the time. The solution's built right in. So no heavy bucket, and the pad has hundreds of scrubbing strips to get deep into grout. Don't mop harder, mop smarter.
Swiffer Power Mop! Swiffer Power Mop!
Some days, my active psoriatic arthritis makes it hard to get in the game. Now, the ball is in my court, thanks to treating my skin and joints with Skyrizi, Risankizumab Riza, a prescription-only 150 milligram injection for adults.
Nothing is everything.
Skyrizi helps with less joint pain, stiffness, swelling, and fatigue. For those who also have plaque psoriasis, 90% clearer skin is possible with just 4 doses a year after 2 starter doses.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions and an increased risk of infections or a lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check for infection and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms such as fever, sweats, chills, muscle aches, or cough, or if you plan to or recently received a vaccine.
With Skyrizi, there's nothing like clearer skin and better movement, and that means everything. Ask your doctor today about Skyrizi and visit skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKYRIZI to learn more.
All right, we welcome you back here live at the Duke Energy Convention Center, Redsfest. We're off and rolling here on day 2. Justin Kinner, Nick Kirby from Chatterbox Sports, 1410 ESPN Radio, Chatterbox Sports, combining to bring you this special program here today. We always appreciate the Reds having us come down. We've been a longtime Reds on Radio affiliate in Dayton. And I tell you what, just based on the buzz from the fans that we saw piling outside the building today to get in when it opened, and just all the chatter back in Dayton about the Cincinnati Reds, the Dayton Dragons, and the list goes on and on. Baseball, it's an exciting time to be a Reds fan right now, and it's exciting to be out here as well. Justin Kinner, Nick Kirby. Nick, we just had a chance to catch up with Phil Castellini, and now we get to bring in our next guest, Mr. Spencer Steer, who we were just talking with you a little bit. You said just a whirlwind. You have an assistant that's just telling you where to go, when to go, and you're just a yes man today.
Yeah, I mean it's a ton of fun just getting to interact with fans, and you can really see it really is when you come to an event like this, and man, it's just it's a blast being here.
Last season, at what point for you, like you talk about how the fans and how passionate that they are going into the season, not knowing what to expect heading into the year, how far into the season before you as a player, like, man, we got something here, we're cooking a little bit, like how far into the season before you realized that you guys were doing something special?
I think it really began with, I think we were in Colorado, we call it McLean, and then Williamson makes his debut the following night and shoves. And then it seemed like, every couple weeks we had another guy coming up to the big league team and really hitting the ground running and making an impact right when they showed up. So I think once we started to get these guys coming up from AAA, I realized that, like, man, we got some really good young players, and they're producing like right off the bat. So and then we saw it with that 12-game win streak. It seemed like once everyone got up here, then we just really started rolling. So I think right about that time when, we got McLean, Ellie, and then it seemed like, CES came up, and then no LV came out of the gates hot. So, yeah, it was a ton of fun just watching these guys come up and have success really early on.
We're talking a lot about the call-ups throughout the season, but you were there right from the very beginning. And it didn't take long for Reds fans to really start buying into who you are as a player. Obviously, the passion's there, and then the talent was matching everything, and everyone started becoming a huge fan of Spencer Steer. What's most unique about you is the fact that you played, 4 different positions last year? I mean, just being bounced around. Like, how tough is that tough as a player to not be locked into one position and just knowing that, hey, you might be at first base one day, third the next? I mean, how tough is that for you adapting to that kind of role?
I think that the toughest part for me was just knowing how to prepare before games, because there's games where I start at first base and I'll move over to third base, and then I end up the game in left field. So kind of finding that balance of being ready to play all those positions, but also not doing too much pregame and, running out of gas by the end of the year. Because, if you're doing work at all 3 of those spots every single day, you're going to wear yourself out. You're going to wear yourself down. So just trying to find a kind of an efficient plan, I guess you could say, to feel like I'm prepared to play all those spots on a regular basis. And it's still kind of a process I'm figuring out, and I'll probably continue to figure out over the next couple of years and what that looks like. But I think that's the toughest part, is just feeling prepared and preparing to play all those spots.
Sorry, Nick, real quick. Is there a position? Like, obviously, you're open to whatever the team needs. You're a team first guy. That was on full display this past year. But if they said, all right, Spencer, you tell us, what's the position you want to play? Is there one that you're more comfortable at as you're adapting to the versatility role?
I would say, I'm most comfortable probably at second base. I played that a lot throughout the minor leagues. It's my favorite position to play. But honestly, as I got more starts out and left than the outfield. I was really starting to dig the outfield. So I was getting pretty comfortable out there too. So, I mean, at this point, I don't really have a home, so I can't say I'm, fully locked into anything at this point.
My question kind of goes along with that. It feels like your position flexibility gives the Reds front office more flexibility as they're looking for free agents to sign this offseason. Is that something that you take some pride in, that you can move around and help this team win in different ways?
I think what I take pride in most is just being available every day. I think that's a very valuable thing to be healthy and to be out there for your team every day. And that's kind of why I like being in the versatility type role, because I can be available at multiple spots, and that'll help me get in the lineup every day. So at the end of the day, I just want to be playing. So if that's in the infield, outfield, wherever, I just want to be in the lineup, making a positive impact. And I think that's kind of what I take most pride in, is just being available.
Reds kind of have a Minnesota Twins feel now with you coming over, Christian Encarnacion Strand, make a big debut last year, and then Reds just signing Emilio Pagan. What's your kind of thoughts on a lot of players from the Twins coming over here to Cincinnati?
I think it's cool. It definitely, when you get traded, it's kind of a whirlwind. Your whole world kind of gets tossed upside down a little bit, especially being in the minor leagues and only knowing, one system, one organization. I think when you go to a place where you have familiar faces, it makes that transition a little easier. So that's kind of a nice thing, because even when I got traded over to the Reds, I knew Christian, and it was nice knowing I had at least somebody else I could go to, or was in a similar spot that I was. So it's definitely cool having some familiar faces coming over.
We've talked, the biggest storylines coming out of last year, of course, is just how unprecedented the success was, considering how many rookies and how the youth of the roster. It doesn't happen often when you have a roster made up of so many predominantly young players that leads to a lot of wins out on the field. And obviously that was the case last season, and that's what made the last season so special. What are some of the guys that maybe you didn't know well coming into last season that you're super close with now? Who's the core of guys that you're the closest with on the current roster?
Man, it's pretty much everyone. When I tell you this was as tight knit of a group that I've ever been a part of, I mean that. I think from day one in spring training, David did a really good job of, facilitating conversations and really encouraging us to get to know our teammates, go out to dinner with someone you don't know, get to know their families. And that's the first time I really had a coach or a manager really preach that to us. Get to know their families. Don't get to know them. Get to know their families. Get to know where they come from, what they like to do. And I think just having that message from day one really brought us close together. And we were doing all these fun stuff during spring training, like a 3-point competition, went to Topgolf, doing all this fun stuff as a team. It just really made us close. And this is also the first time in pro ball I've spent an entire year on one team. So it was just really fun for me to get to know these guys, and they truly feel like family, because I see these guys more than my own family. So yeah, it's about as tight as a group as I've ever been a part of. So that's what makes me so excited going into next year, is knowing the group of guys I'm doing it with.
Is it because all of you guys are coming in as rookies together? Is that what makes you so close? With you not being on many clubs, what makes sometimes a bad environment in a clubhouse? Is the youth what allowed that relationships to start forming and creating your own type of chemistry?
That's definitely a big part of it, but I just think it's more culture based, right? Everyone has the same mission. Everyone's checking their ego at the door, and they're doing what's best for the team. Yeah. Truly. Whether it's a guy who's coming off the bench or a guy who's only playing against lefties or righties, they're not the guys that are selfish saying I should play every day. They're the guys that are really embracing their role and doing their part and doing it really well. And that's what makes the team go, are those kind of guys. And I think that's a big culture thing, and that starts with the manager, and it's obviously everyone on down, but I think that was a big reason why we played the way we did last year.
So Reds signed 2 pitchers this week. Did that add to the excitement of coming here to Redsfest? And have you faced either one of those 2 guys in your career so far?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they're 2 really great arms. I know Emilio threw against us towards the end of the year, and his stuff was electric, and he threw really well for them in the playoffs. And then I faced Nick a couple times throughout the year. His changeup's unhittable to me. Dominated me with that pitch. So just really, really good arms, and excited to see what they can do for us.
So winter meetings coming up next week. As a player, how much are you following that as there's news constantly? Sometimes signings announced at 2:30 in the morning by Jeff Passan. How do you kind of follow that, or do you try to tune it out?
Yeah, for me, you know, I'm not in the front office for a reason. I really don't know what's going on a lot of times. So, you know, you'll definitely see it on social media. You'll hear it from other teammates or friends or whatever it is. So yeah, you'll organically find out at some point, but definitely not, you know, refreshing the page every couple minutes to see what's going on.
Not like me.
Yeah.
That's good. So, and that's always tough too, because we talk about it from like a fan perspective. You're obviously a player, but a fan at the same time. So, like, you don't follow those like rumor mills. You're not on Twitter like, oh, we might be getting this particular player, or hey, Jeff Passan has us maybe potentially getting this guy. You just kind of sit back and just let it come to you.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say I'm oblivious to what's going on, but I definitely, you know, you take that kind of stuff with a grain of salt, because, you know, what's not done is not done, right? It's got to happen, and you hear all these rumors all the time, and they don't end up happening. So, yeah, you kind of just let it happen, let it unfold, and kind of go from there.
The new players are added. How long before you guys all start communicating and kind of texting back and forth?
I mean, here, this is actually great. You know, they signed during Redsfest week, so I got to meet both those guys yesterday, talk to them for a little bit. But yeah, it's always fun getting new teammates and get to know them, and it's always an exciting time of the year.
I think a lot of Reds fans probably felt like you should have finished higher in the Rookie of the Year vote last year. Is that something that you maybe take with a little bit of motivation coming into next year?
Yeah, I think it was cool, first of all, getting the Players' Choice finalist award. I think that one means a little more to me, just because those are my peers. Those guys are the ones on the field every day, and they're watching the game. So that one meant a lot more to me than kind of any other award. Just getting that respect from fellow guys in the league. And the final Rookie of the Year voting is just telling me I gotta do more. I gotta play better. And that's what I'm gonna try to do next year. Have a better year, and not go backwards.
What is that area in the offseason that you're focused in on the most? Like this offseason you are locked in and saying, I need to get better at this. Obviously, it's not just one thing, but what's that one thing that you're like, I need to make major strides at this particular part of my game heading into 24?
I think what I'm working on this offseason is my quickness, my speed. I think that'll help me in the outfield. It'll help me in the infield. My first step quickness. It'll help me steal more bags. So that's something I'm really focused on this offseason is you know, getting better jumps, steal jumps, outfield jumps. You know, just quicker feet in the infield. So looking forward to seeing how that translates on the field next year.
All right. Well, Spencer Steer, unless Nick, do you have anything else before we?
I got one more.
Yes, keep going. Yes, keep going.
The rule changes last year. You were talking about stealing bases. Does the bigger bases, did that help you? Did you like the pitch clock? What about those things?
I think the one advantage I noticed was obviously the pitch clock. I feel like a lot of these pitchers, they're good at holding on runners, but when they have a pitch clock, they can only do so much. So I feel like a lot of pitchers kind of fell into a routine. They had a come set, 1,000, 2,000, go. So like CC, our first base coach, did a great job, picking up on those tells or their cadence or whatever it was. So I think we had a really good idea of, I can probably get a better jump than normal because this guy's 1,000 go, or he nods his head, looks up, and goes. So we were picking up on little things like that, and I think the pitch clock was a reason, for that, because these pitchers were rushed, so they felt like they had to get to the plate, so they just kind of fell into routine accidentally, and I think we took advantage of that.
lot of those rule changes implemented in the minors, and with having such a young team like your team has, it wasn't as much of an adjustment for you guys because you were used to those rules coming up from the minors. Did you notice some of the veteran players having to adjust to this more so than the younger core guys that you guys had?
Yeah, I think in spring training it was kind of a mess. It was a little bit of a disaster with the older guys who've never experienced it before. But I mean, after playing, 15, 20 games in spring training with the rules, I mean, it wasn't really too noticeable once the actual season started. I mean, you maybe see 1 or 2 pitch violations a game at the beginning of the year, but I think 2 months in there wasn't really any violations. So I think that spring training period of adjusting was kind of a mess, but I think after that it was pretty smooth.
The City Connect jerseys, by the way, the best jerseys in all of baseball. Just throwing that out there. Those things are so cool. But Spencer Steer, you the man. We appreciate you. Thank you for spending some time with us here today. All right, Justin Kinner, Nick Kirby, live here at the Duke Energy Convention Center. It's Redsfest, and Spencer Steer just gave us some time. We opened up the show, of course, with Phil Castellini. We got David Bell. We got Will Benson. We got a great lineup for you here. We'll be with you until about 1 o'clock, and then we'll just continue bringing you the big names. Excited to be with you here this morning. But, yeah, the rule changes, Nick, that was the thing that was most fascinating. We forget how ugly those spring training games were initially. Some of the headlines coming out was always the umpires, they had to be aggressive early because you can't just be loosey-goosey with those when you're trying to establish it league-wide. But it really wasn't as sloppy as what many had anticipated with that adjustment period when the season started.
Yeah, like Spencer said, after about 2 months, you rarely saw any sort of violations. And I think it added so much to the game. Not only it was just such a great season for the Reds, but you had all these young players coming up, and they had a lot of success. But you also had a more fun version of baseball, a more version of baseball like me and you grew up watching. And that was just really, I think, added to the level of excitement this season.
All right. We'll step away for a few moments. It just got word we're going to have Will Benson step up and hang out with us a bit. So the names keep coming. We look forward to this show and this program each and every season. Excited to be hanging out with Nick here from Chatterbox Sports as well. So we'll step away for a few moments. Adam back in the WING studios. He's going to send us a little break in the action, and we'll have Will Benson when we come back. Justin Kinner, Nick Kirby live at the Duke Energy Convention Center, Redsfest. We'll be right back.
Save big money right now at Menards. Always give your pet the best with Merrick grain-free dog food. It's made with real ingredients from right here in the U.S. to provide your pet with a balanced nutrition. Real meat is the first ingredient, and the recipe is specially balanced with protein, healthy fat, and fresh produce. Save big money and pick up a 22-pound bag for $76.98. Price is good through December 3rd.
Warm season's greetings to you all from Menards.
Exergen thermometers are a top choice of medical professionals at highly ranked hospitals across the U.S. With kids back at school, keeping them healthy is important. Make Exergen thermometer the chosen thermometer for your home or business to check for fever, where accuracy matters. When measuring temperature at home and at work, use an Exergen thermometer to keep your family and colleagues safe. Available at Walgreens and other participating retailers. Learn more at Exergen.com.
If you or someone you know is having thoughts of suicide or experiencing a mental health or substance use crisis, 988 provides 24/7 compassionate support and connection to trained counselors. When you call, text, or chat 988, you'll be quickly connected to trained counselors who will listen to your concerns, provide support, and connect you to additional resources if needed. There is hope. The Lifeline works. You are not alone. For 24/7 support, just call, text, or chat 988.
Are you sexually active? Do you have multiple sex partners? You and your partners may be at risk for syphilis. Public Health Dayton and Montgomery County reminds you that syphilis is a sexually transmitted disease that, if left untreated, may cause serious health effects. To protect yourself, have sex with one person who's only having sex with you. And always use condoms. Protect yourself and your partner. Get tested for syphilis today. Visit STIFacts.org for more information.
$5,000 sign-on bonus. That's right. My friends at Cordell Transportation are now hiring experienced Class A CDL drivers with excellent work history. If that's you, apply now. Cordell Transportation offers home daily dedicated lanes, no-touch freight, and brand new equipment, plus a $5,000 sign-on bonus paid over 18 months, paid orientation, and company 401k with company match. Apply online at CordellTransportation.com. Cordell Transportation, driven to succeed.
Jim Gaffigan here with some more straight talk. Let's take a moment to appreciate our sweet children, loving grandparents, and eternal soulmates. Now let's use them to save money on wireless. Because with the Straight Talk Silver Plan, you get 4 lines for just $25 a month with unlimited data and no contracts. So add those human pawns, loved ones, and save money. Thanks, kids. They're finally worth it. Straight Talk Wireless, available at Walmart.
Get 4 lines on Silver Unlimited for $25 per line per month, plus taxes and fees. For data management practices and additional terms, visit straighttalk.com.
All right, everybody, we welcome you back. Justin Kinner, Nick Kirby, Chatterbox Sports. Live here on 1410 ESPN Radio in Dayton, Ohio. We are Dayton's radio home of the Cincinnati Reds. And, of course, as we sit here live at Redsfest, Duke Energy Convention Center, the buzz and excitement surrounding Reds baseball, it's just night and day how far we've come from just a season ago. Everyone's super jacked for the season. The season just ended, technically, the full baseball season just a month and some change ago. And everyone's jacked up and ready to go for next year's Reds season, of course. But, Nick, I'm excited to bring on our next guest. I'll let you introduce him.
Yeah, Will Benson. Really excited to have Will Benson coming off a really great season last year. This is your first Reds Fest. How you feeling about this event so far?
I'm very happy. You guys make me happy. The fans are amazing. So I feel warm inside from all of my interactions with you guys. So thank you.
Yeah, we forgot when you were acquired by the Reds. It was February, so it was like well after all of this stuff had wrapped up. Reds Fest, the caravan, all those fun things that was done. So when you come in, you find out you're coming to Cincinnati. Just what was your initial thought a year ago? Before you even knew what kind of special season it was going to be. Your initial thoughts. You didn't have to move far. You didn't have to move far at all.
It was honestly challenging. It was tough from the sense of I had a son on the way. My now wife is pregnant. I was pregnant at the time, so it was a lot of uncertainty. And I try to take everything one step at a time, and I just feel like a lot of things were rushing at me at once. But thankfully, that's the power of family. I was embraced by family, and the transition was smooth. It was right down the street, right? I didn't have to go to Florida. I didn't have to go anywhere across Arizona. I simply just had to go down the street. So that made things a little bit easier for sure. And then I just got settled in, and it was cool to be a part of something so special, because again, a lot of the players there were kind of around my age, also new to the league as well. So I felt really comfortable and embraced by the players that were there once I finally made that transition over.
So once you got to Cincinnati, you had a really whirlwind year last year. You had a great spring training, struggled a little bit in April, went back down to AAA, worked on some things, came back up. What did you do in AAA that allowed you to come back up, and you were legitimately one of the best hitters in baseball from the time you came back up through the end of the year?
In reality, I feel like I freed my mind of the tension, the stress of it all. That's why I'm thankful for my son, because my son gave me a refreshing mindset in the sense of I can't give up. I can't quit, because then I can't teach him those type of morals if I don't live it. So that for me in AAA was kind of my motive or my motto. Hey, I'm just going to go in here today and put my best foot forward and try to learn. And I'm very grateful for the environment down there in AAA. I was just talking back there, with Jamie. It's essentially they wanted me back up. So I felt the push, on my back to kind of keep moving. And then I just started playing my game, do what I do. And it kind of was just like, all right, like, this is how I play the game. This is who I am. Like, I'm a great baseball player. And then that just kind of catapulted me back to the big leagues.
I think that's what's most impressive, too. I think as fans, sometimes we just, at times, baseball players, robots, right? Oh, they're called out. They're sent back down. They're called back up. We forget about the emotions that go into that. And even the emotions for a David Bell, who has to deliver that news to you. The team has to deliver that news. But take us back to that, the headspace, because that I can't imagine how tough that could be. Like, you want to get in a groove. You have to get sent back down to AAA. To be as mentally tough as you, to not look at that as a demotion, but more of an opportunity, and you capitalize on that opportunity. And as Nick said, came back and were just on fire from the time you came back. What happened during that stretch mentally as you prepared to obviously hit your way back into the major league lineup?
Yeah. I'm a man of faith, so it took a lot of prayer. It took a lot of redirection, redirecting my thought pattern. So I am not a robot. I'm as human as they come.
Yeah.
In that sense. But after a lot of prayer, my thought process was simply like, if I'm going to be a big leaguer, I have to learn how to be a big leaguer. And the only way to learn how to be a big leaguer is be in the big leagues. It's that simple. It's funny how those things that are simple can be complicated. But it was really that simple. And so I took that fresh perspective into it. I'm just learning how to be an everyday good big leaguer. And thankfully enough, just the support that I got. I had a conversation with TJ Friedel when we were in Chicago. Had a conversation with Votto on the flight back, or no, actually the flight to Boston. And I feel like after that, those two conversations and a little bit of success, you combine those two, and that's enough to fuel the fire. And then obviously, as you saw, like we went on to Boston, Dick went crazy. Went to Houston, went crazy there. I played well in Houston. It was like a tumbling effect, and then it kind of was just like, man, I can do this. Like I can dominate this game, if I continue to go on the stretch.
That's huge too, because like with like young players, if they run into a slump and they get sent back down to AAA, like they're gonna be able to like use your experience and say, hey, like this isn't a bad thing; it's an opportunity more than anything else. So I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, I'm honest when I say these things. Like, I really pray for that type of experience that other players can lean on. Hopefully, again, like somehow, some way, the player that needs to see my story or hear my story can be encouraged by it and live out their best lives based off of my shortcomings and my triumphs as well.
You had one of those signature moments last year against the Dodgers, that walk-off home run, had an incredible celebration. What was that moment like for you?
Yeah.
Take us back.
Yeah, I blacked out, obviously. Like, a lot of people are, crazy about the bat slam. That's just pure emotion, rush of everything coming down to that single moment. I think it's funny leading up to that at bat. I was in the outfield in my mind, knowing I was going to come up in that situation and just knowing I was going to do it. So that's a surreal, thought to have. And then for me to actually execute it, I think, again, that's what just leads up to me, slamming my bat so ferociously. And then again, I'm turning around. I see my teammates, India. I can vividly remember his face and just like, at the edge of the dugout. And then coming around the bases, just really just not even comprehending a lot, just like incomplete, like just happiness and, just ecstatic, and then coming to home plate and seeing everybody there, cheering me on and going crazy. It was surreal, a moment, again, I'll never, ever forget in my life. So, yeah, very grateful for it.
Nick, I don't know if Mo Egger's here anywhere, but I know he's a big fan of the bat flips and the celebrations and stuff.
Yeah.
And do you like that? I mean, do you think there needs to be more of that in baseball? I mean, you guys work your tails off when something great happens. You should be able to celebrate and not have to worry about someone plunking you the next time you step up in the box.
Yeah, I think the game is getting better at that, just simply because they understand like that's what people want to see. That's what some fans really enjoy. It's a form of expression, so a player can express himself in that manner. And yeah, like it's swaggy. You know what I mean? Like if I hit a home run and I know I got it, like, and I got it, so don't be mad. I mean, you strike me out, you do your little dance or whatnot. So for sure, if I hit a home run, like, and I know it's gone, I'm gonna pimp it. There's no problem.
That's first of all, that's awesome. But second of all, real quick, if a pitcher strikes you out, they show the bat. They're not only showing the batters up, but they get to show emotion.
Yeah,
so why shouldn't you be?
Yeah, they flex their biceps and do that little scream or whatever. It's all good. It's all. I'm gonna catch you the next inning for sure. But it's all good, man. And for me too. Like, I mean, you guys saw me hit some home runs. Like I don't take 20 seconds to get around the bases. You know what I mean? I'm still kind of got a little giddy up. So I mean, it's all a part of the game. It's a little fun.
So the Reds active in free agency this week, signing 2 pitchers, Martinez and Pagan. That added the excitement coming here to this event today. And have you faced either one of those guys so far in your career?
No, I haven't faced them. I saw Emilio throw when I was with the Guardians at the time. So I've seen him pitch. Yeah, I mean, you guys should be excited. I think those are great pickups. I think again, it just shows the people in the front office are working hard and aware of the areas that we need to, get better in or improve on. I'm excited to see it just like anything. I mean, I've experienced them for just this Redfest so far. They seem like pretty good, good people. And I'm excited to get to learn and know them more as the season goes on next year.
The one thing that's been the theme of today with everyone that we've talked to, just the youth movement in Cincinnati. And, there's a lot of different ways to build a team. You can go out and acquire as many free agents as you can and build a team that way, or this way, which is much more organic, and it just welcomes fans in more when we see players who've been developed through the system that come up. You feel like you're a part of their journey. And then when they reach that success point at the major league level, it just makes it that much more special. So the youth movement that's taken over in Cincinnati, of course, you come into Cincinnati earlier in the year, of course, but just what was your overall vibe of last season, just your takeaway? Like, how far into the season before you're like, man, we got something special here, and like taking that momentum into next season or to this upcoming season, just the biggest thing that you're most excited about?
Yeah, I mean, first part to that question, is like that 13-game winning streak. Yeah, that for me just solidified how good of a team we are, how good of a team we can be. We were beating some good teams in that stretch as well. So that for me was kind of like the moment in time, I think, where we all realized like this is something bigger than ourselves. The way that the city connected with us too after that win streak, you guys were very instrumental in just in your guys' support and showing up, especially when we were in that winning streak. So that was like the beginning of when I knew, we are on to something. And again, like you said, it was a young core. A lot of the production, a lot of the reasons why we were winning was because of that young core. Guys who were stepping up, pitchers that were stepping up. The bullpen was going crazy. I mean, they were incredible. And I knew when we were at the halfway point, right? We were the division leaders at that point, right? Yeah. And it just so happened we come back, maybe not the best comeback, after the All-Star break. Other teams were just not losing either. So I think going into next year, and I've said this in other interviews, I think the biggest thing is obviously, as you guys saw, is cashing in on those games in the middle of the summer and those dog days. We're either 2-3, we're up 2-3, like just really cashing in those games, not giving them away, so that when we come to late August, September, when we're all a little bit tired, we're not scratching and clawing like we were this. And I think we have the talent, we have the poise. Very pleased with our poise. Like, we're a very calm young group. It's probably the calmest young group that I've ever been a part of. But we're unfazed, and I think that's a big strength. So I think going into next year, we continue to have that type of poise, but also that ferocious tenacity, to dominate in those dog days of summer. I think we're going to be right where we want to be come September.
Very nice. So the rule changes last year, it felt like you obviously stole a lot of bases.
Not enough.
Not enough? You want to steal more next year?
Yeah.
All right. Do you feel like the rule changes were good for the sport overall? Obviously, you had dealt with them a little bit more in the minor leagues and some of the other veteran guys. But did you like the pitch clock? Did you like the bigger bases?
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I think it cut out a lot of the unnecessary time where we're just kind of like lollygagging around. Put a little pace to the game for sure. And I know you fans really enjoyed it. It being 2-hour and 45-minute game. Not being an unnecessary 3:45. So I really enjoyed it. I actually got introduced to it in the minor leagues. So, making that transition to the big leagues was not hard for me because I had already done a year of it, and it was very seamless for me. But in terms of the number of pickoffs and things of that nature, to be really honest, I think it definitely benefits us, but in my opinion, it didn't happen enough to where it was like, oh, this guy's picked off twice. Now I have the opportunity to run. Like, I didn't have that myself. Maybe that'll start happening, when I have more stolen bases. But, I overall, I think the rule changes have definitely impacted the game in the correct manner.
Which rule do you think made the biggest difference? Is the banning of the shift? What was the biggest rule change?
Funnily enough, I'll just comment on the shift. I think the shift was great. Still, they found a way to cut off some of those holes somehow, some way they found a way to take that ball away. But I think my favorite one, though, definitely was a pitch clock. It just added pace. It added tempo to the game. I think there wasn't as much sitting around, waiting around. It was definitely there was definitely pace to it naturally.
You talked about the mental side of the game. Do you feel like the shorter pitch clock makes it easier for you as a hitter not to get in your own head too much, just go right into the box and step up to the plate?
Yeah, I think there's definitely a natural flow to it. You look at other fast-paced sports, being, basketball or even soccer. A lot of those sports are very just like fluid. The thought process when you're out there playing. I play basketball, so the thought process when you play basketball is very like quick action, go, quick decisions. So when you have that pitch clock, you're going, and it's a chess match. But then it makes the chess match a little bit more like versatile, if that makes sense. Like I'm making decisions on the fly. It helped me simplify a lot of things because again, I don't have much time to think too deep in it too. So I really like that whole aspect of the clock and how it just kind of like speeds up all of that process. Because guys before the game, they prepare, right? Like we're all prepared. So we know what he likes to do. They know what I hit well and what I don't. So it definitely gives it a more action type of feel. At least that's what I felt about.
I was like in the minority on this heading into the season when everyone was talking about like pace of play and all that. And I'm like, if you love baseball, I don't want it to hurry up and go. If you go to a movie, you don't, spend good money to go see a movie and say, man, I hope this movie hurry. I just want this movie to end as quick as possible. Yeah. If you go to a concert, man, I hope they only play three of their hits because I need to be home. So I was wrong because that was my mindset heading in. Like if the product's good, you want more of it. Who wants to pay all that money to get less of the product? But I was wrong because just tuning in and just listen, whether it's listening on radio or just watching, just the pace. It's obviously pace of play, but just the flow of the game is honestly, it just made the game cleaner and smoother. And it was just like go to commercial break, you come back, boom, the pitcher's there, the guy's in the box ready to go. It was a much more aesthetically pleasing product last season, no doubt.
I mean, to parallel, like if you're in a movie, you would like a great movie, not a 4-hour movie though. Yeah. You would like a 2.5 hour movie if it's going to all be the same product, right? Like I'm the same way. Like I do not want to damage the product at all. Like you guys, the fans, the game itself deserves a great game, right? Like the players are better now. The things are more explosive now. Guys are more athletic now. Like you never want to damage the product. We're in a space, we're in a time, we're in an era of really great baseball players, like a really fun game because of the skill level of the players. And I never would want to damage that product because we all deserve it in this lifetime. This is our life, like we're living in it. So we deserve the best product.
All right. Well, Nick, if you have, do you have anything else before we let him get back to the rest of Redsfest?
Well, you said you played basketball. Do you have a basketball team? You like watching NBA or college during the off season?
Yeah, I'm a big NBA fan. I have to, not necessarily I have to, but I like to represent my Atlanta Hawks because I'm from Atlanta. They are playing a little inconsistent right now, but there's still flashes of really goodness, real good players. But I'm a fan of players. I love basketball players. I love the skill level of some of these basketball players. So I love the game.
Do you play a little bit of pickup in the off season?
No, I did in the past, but I can't now. I'm too dedicated to baseball to mess up with anything like that.
The higher ups really love that answer.
Yeah, for sure. Any Castellini crawl, y'all hear me?
Yes.
I know y'all hear me.
That 3-point contest, that's where it ended. That's where the basketball stuff ended.
I do a couple later.
Hey, before you look, can you explain what the heck is the in-season tournament in the NBA?
It's actually
they put the cool courts out there. I just don't understand it.
I think it adds a little flash, but I didn't think about it this way. Somebody said this too, like for the players who don't have like the bigger contracts, when you go in this in-season tournament, there's a bonus obviously for the winner, so they're getting a little bit extra bread in their pocket. But yeah, it's essentially an in-season tournament. I think the point was to bring a level of competitiveness to the games early on in the season. So definitely with the new cool color courts and the new jerseys, and then having the tournament in Vegas, I think it added, the necessary flash. The commissioner was smart, in doing that. But at the same time, the real championship, as we know, is the NBA Finals. But they were able to to put a little competitiveness with that tournament. So I like it. I like watching.
So LeBron's not going for his 5th ring with this in-season tournament.
Right? No,
okay?
no.
I wouldn't mind that using that as my
right?
argument.
Yeah. Just leverage he's the best player ever. Yeah.
But all right, Will Benson, everybody, awesome enough to spend some time with us here. Justin Kinner, Nick Kirby, live here at Redsfest. Will Benson, everybody. All right, we'll step away for a few moments. More of our special coverage live here from the Duke Energy Convention Center, Redsfest 2023, right here on Dayton's radio, home of the Cincinnati Reds, 1410 ESPN Radio. We'll be right back.
This is Keith Byers for Superbook Sports. You spend valuable time thinking about which bets to place each week. So why wouldn't you want the best company in the business to be the one who handles those bets? Superbook Sports is the most trusted name in Las Vegas, and it's now live right here in Ohio for all your sports wagering needs. Superbook has a team of dedicated odds makers behind the counter in Las Vegas setting all the prices. We're talking about guys with decades of experience showing you why Superbook has the best odds around. And right now, you can look ahead to Hockey and Hoops postseason and place a bet on who you think will take home the title. So download the Superbook Sports app or visit superbook.com to wager and win today. Visit superbook.com for terms and conditions. Gambling problems? Call 1-800-589-9966. Call 1-800-589-9966. Gambling problems? Call 1-800-589-9966. Call 1-800-589-9966.
Hi, this is Mike Foley, your Montgomery County Clerk of Courts. I'd like to invite you to my new series called Connecting with the Community. On the third Tuesday of each month, I will be hosting a monthly discussion where citizens can come and learn more about different areas of local government. Connecting with the Community will be held at the new Employment Opportunity Center in the Westtown Shopping Center on West 3rd Street.
On Tuesday, December 19th, Montgomery County Common Pleas Court Judge Gerald Parker will be here to talk about probation services.
Brought to you by Mike Foley, your Montgomery County Clerk of Courts.
Hi, what brings you to the clinic today?
Oh, the baby's not feeling well. I think she might have a fever.
Well, let's check her temp with the Exergen thermometer. You're right. These Exergen thermometers are very accurate. Reads 101.2.
Oh, gosh. Well, that Exergen thermometer sure is fast and easy to use.
Yes, and many doctors recommend Exergen for home use.
Exergen thermometers, backed by over 100 clinical studies, are available at Walmart and participating retailers. Learn more at Exergen.com.
Darius, look who just figured out how to find my Medicare plan options. Just typed in my zip code and boom.
This is not just a search tool.
Look at you go, Mom.
This is Walgreens making it easy to find a Medicare plan with low-cost copays. During open enrollment, use Walgreens Find RX coverage to help you find the right Medicare plan for you. This is being independent. Together. Walgreens.
Your house is more than just a roof over your head. When it comes to protecting your home, you want a roofing company that you can trust. That's where Enterprise Roofing comes in. They've been serving the Dayton area for over 90 years and have over 1,000 Dayton area projects under their belt. They're a third-generation, family-owned business, and they're here to stay. You can trust Enterprise Roofing to be here, now and whenever you need them. Call today at 937-298-8664 to schedule your consultation.
Dayton sports fans, for more local sports content, make sure to subscribe to Dayton's ESPN Radio YouTube channel. And don't miss the Miami Valley's only local sports talk show, The Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, weekdays from 3 to 6 p.m. on 1410 Wing AM.
Coming to you live from the Superbook Sports Studios in Kettering. You're listening to Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM.
All right, everybody, we welcome you back. Justin Kinner, Nick Kirby from Chatterbox Sports, live here at the Duke Energy Convention Center, Redsfest 2023. Nick, we just wrapped up with Will Benson. Will Benson is the man. I'm a big fan of Will Benson.
Will Benson's a lot of fun, and he had a hard time getting out of here.
Yeah, I mean, he had a sea of people swarm him coming off of here. I thought they were here to ask me for mine. No, it was Will Benson. It was Will Benson. So I survived that one. We'll see. But David Bell with us here to kick off hour number 2 of Redsfest. And we were kind of chatting a little bit before, and man, the buzz and excitement, it's at a whole other level right now, and it's pretty exciting. And you've been here for a while now, and you've gone through the ups and the downs, and right now we're at a peak right now, and it's pretty exciting.
Absolutely, and I agree about Will. He's just as popular in our clubhouse, just a great guy. incredible attitude, and he's been a big part of our team. He was a big part of our team last year, and I really believe he's going to be for a long time. So, but yeah, it's great. As we look forward to this weekend every year, I always look forward to catching up with our players. It's been a couple months since we've seen them, catch up with our staff. But really, the big reason that we're here is to celebrate all of our fans and show our great appreciation for all their support, and hopefully everyone's enjoying it. It seems like they are. I know being in Cincinnati, the response to our team and the style and the way we played last year has been different, and we really appreciate that. And it's nice to know that people enjoyed watching us play last year. It's important to our team.
So coming into 2024, last year you had players making their debut. It felt like every other week. Obviously, you'll have some next year as well, but it feels like your opening day roster is going to be a lot more set and a lot more continuity going into next year. Do you feel like that will really help your team early in the year in April and May?
Yeah, last year was important. You're right. We had a lot of young players. We worked really hard in spring training. Our players did to get to know one another, become a team as quick as we could. We got off to a little bit of a slow start as everything kind of came together. But pretty quickly we kind of got that going, and they deserve a lot of credit for the work that they did. And it just really grew from there. So we have that year that we have behind us that we can build on. It'll make spring training, a little bit easier this year. Having our team a little bit more set, but there's always new players. We just signed 2 new players yesterday, and we'll continue to get everyone acclimated and bond as much as we can as a team, because that was an important part of our success last year. So we'll continue to improve in that area. We have to continue to improve in all areas. We went into spring training last year, and our players were really bought into working as hard as they could and fighting every day to get better in every area. And we have to continue to that. We haven't earned anything, and I think that's part of who our players are and the identity of our team. So we'll continue with that.
Nick, you touched on this a little bit, just knowing more of an idea of the core of players heading into next year. But last year there were so many question marks heading into the season, not knowing who the core was going to be and when some of these young guys would be called up, who would be ready, who wouldn't. Right now, as Nick said, you have an idea. You and your staff have an idea of who the main core guys are going to be heading into next year. How much easier does that make? And your job's not easy by any means, but how much simpler, I guess, does it make your job knowing what pieces you're working with as opposed to last year where there were just more question marks?
Yeah, I mean, this group of players that we have makes my job a lot of fun, and for all of our staff, and they have fun. They enjoy one another. So it's hard work, but we love it every day. We look forward to going to the ballpark every day to be around this group of players. And yes, we had work to do, but for that many young players to step in at the major league level and be ready to go and be ready to play at the level that they did says so much about our organization as a whole, our scouting department, and certainly our player development staff who helped them develop. And you also have to point to just the character of the individual player. I think we did a good job of identifying that. And in some cases, I think we just really are lucky and fortunate to have the group of players that we have.
So you just signed 2 new players. Probably just got to meet them. I think you said Emilio Pagan, Nick Martinez. What's kind of your just quick initial thoughts on those guys? And does Martinez's past of starting and relieving, does that flexibility really make your job maybe a little bit easier?
First reaction is great guys. They're going to fit right into our bullpen or our starting staff, maybe with Nick. And that's important to us. So I had several players, several staff that from other teams that reached out right away and said, you're going to love these guys. So that's great. For us, that's very important. But on the field and on the mound, both guys are kind of at the peak and prime of their career. They've continued to get better over time. And with Nick Martinez, the versatility that he has as a pitcher, being able to pitch out of the bullpen, start games, and kind of embracing that role, it's pretty rare. So it gives us some real options. And as we continue to improve and build our team, knowing that we can kind of slot him in wherever it makes the most sense is great.
You talked about it a little bit ago, Nick, just with all the call-ups from last year. I'm kind of curious on that. Like, obviously, your hands are full once the season starts. It's hard to keep an eye on what's going on in developmental, every single day. Whose ultimate decision is it when it is time to call someone up? I mean, how much of a role do you play in that? Like, I know it's like once the season starts, it's tough to keep an eye on what's going on below. But what's your role in that? I guess as far as the decision making, who's the trigger man, if you will, when it comes to calling people up?
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, Nick makes that call, and then Brad Metter is our general manager now. So the great thing about the way we work, I really enjoy it, is it is collaborative. I'm included in the discussion. There's no way I can have a strong opinion about how guys are doing in the minor leagues because I'm not seeing them every day. We have great people that do see these guys every day that, we really value their opinion and input on those decisions. But we really believe when everyone's included, and I think my role in those discussions are how I'm going to use them, from a lineup standpoint, playing time, where they're going to fit with everything we're doing at the major league level. Because a lot of times you don't want to call somebody up, if it's not best for them, right? I mean, that's always the number one priority. So we got to make sure there's playing time. And when we're doing that together and we're connected, it's always best for the player. So that's what we try to do.
The same with obviously free agents right now. I mean, what's the communication between you and the front office? Like, do you play a role in that as well?
Nick and his staff do an incredible job. We all trust them, and they're so tapped into the free agent market, the trade market. Talking to agents, and it's interesting for me. I try to be in the discussions to learn mostly, but of course I care a ton about it. So I'm going to have my thoughts and opinions. Every now and then maybe it helps, but they're doing a great job with all that.
The 12-game win streak last year, how special was that? Have you ever been a part of anything kind of like that? And it felt like as it kept growing and growing, and the fans started showing up more and more as the streak went on towards the end when you guys came back home.
Every experience you have on the field at the major league level is a good one if you respond the right way. So even when you are struggling, and it's not as much fun, but so that point in the season was really important for our team to go through to learn what that feels like and know that it's possible and know what it takes, and to get used to it a little bit. And then, what do you do from there? Do you where do you go from there? It's kind of like having a good year in your first year. That's great, but where do you get the motivation to make the adjustments to continue to improve? That's the most important thing, and we're faced with that going into next season, and we're looking forward to that challenge. But I thought our players handled everything perfectly last year. Guys struggled at the end, very much expected for young players or all players, and I think that's a good thing because they're very motivated to come back stronger next year.
Looking at the NL Central right now, from my perspective, it feels like you almost have 5 teams that could win the division next year. It feels like it's a very, very competitive division right now. Do you feel that way?
I love playing in our division. It's every game's equally important. There's no question about that. And I love our new schedule where you play all the teams, but there's a little bit something extra when you play within your division. There's no question. And in our division, it feels on any given night, you have to play your best or you're going to get beat. And that's a lot of fun. So I agree that any of the 5 teams can win our division. We're one of those 5 teams, and it's going to take our best and continued improvement to make that happen. So we look forward to that challenge.
I don't know how we've made it an hour into the show, and we have not once mentioned Ellie De La Cruz, and I don't know how that's the case, but here we are talking Ellie De La Cruz. There are star players in baseball, and then there seems to be players like Ellie that just have that it factor, that's a little bit different. And we see that in players around baseball. What separates him from the other good players? A lot of good players. What separates him from the other good players that makes him on that superstar level where he's trending?
I think it starts with Ellie, the person. Not everyone's gotten to know Ellie like I have, but incredibly talented for sure. He's athletic. He's got all the ability in the world, but he's a really good kid, man. Young man. He's humble. He's hardworking. He's just has great energy, and he's fun to be around. So that's where it starts, and then everything else kind of comes from there. And you see what he's able to do on the field. It's very exciting. But I tell you, going through what he went through last year, I've never seen a player go through that at that young of an age, to be thrown into it like he was, to do as well as he did, and just have that much coming at you from so many different angles. And I thought he handled it well. I think things happen that he can learn from, and we're here to help him with that. But he's set up extremely well for a successful offseason, and taking care of his body and doing the things he needs to do to come in ready.
When you manage Ellie De La Cruz, we're not talking, where he's at in the lineup, where he's out on the field. It's managing the hype of Ellie De La Cruz too. How tough was that for you and your staff to, obviously you want him to be him, but also keeping track of, if he starts slumping, and how is he going to deal with that adversity when he faces it? And I think he did a great job last season.
Yeah, I mean, as a staff, we like to think we can relate to our players. We can't relate to that in a lot of different ways. So, just being there to support him any way we can, and he's doing great.
All right, so David, when you're doing an interview like this, when you're doing a post-game interview, even after an absolutely crushing, deflating loss, you are as calm as they come. But when there is an argument on the field, you're as fiery of the managers I've ever seen. How do both of those David Bell personalities work?
I'm not sure. Something just comes out. It's like I promise I'm not looking to do that. I do not like doing that. And for all the kids out here, don't do that. So
I want to see the Viking helmet on when you come out of the dugout just one time. When you're fired up, I want that Viking helmet right over there. I want that. That would be.
That's a great idea.
Yeah,
I'm sure they'll love that.
I'm sure. I'm sure. All right, Nick, do you have anything else for Mr. Bell before we head out? All right, well, thank you so much. I know you're busy.
Guys.
You're being pulled in a million different directions, but thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it. David Bell, everybody. All right, Justin Kidder, Redsfest. There we go. We're good. All right, live here at the Duke Energy Convention Center, 2023 Redsfest. We still have a lot of big names that we're going to be getting to coming up here shortly. They'll keep us updated on the lineup, so I'm excited for that. All right, Justin Kidder, Nick Kirby. We'll step away for a few moments. More of our special coverage live for Redsfest. We'll be right back. Sorry.
We're going abroad for the first time in years, to Spain. So we started using Babbel.
And started learning Spanish fast.
With Babbel, you can start having conversations in another language in just 3 weeks.
¿Cómo te llamas?
¿Cómo te llamas?
When you learn a language, you want to actually use it. Babbel is designed with that goal in mind.
In just 3 weeks, we're starting to have conversations in Spanish. Gracias, Babbel.
Babbel, language for life. Now try Babbel for free at Babbel.com. That's BABBEL.com.
What's for dinner? Burgers?
After last week, no thanks.
Avoiding foods due to fear of diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose, oily stools? It may not be just stomach issues. It could be EPI, or exocrine pancreatic insufficiency. EPI can cause uncomfortable symptoms because it's a condition where the pancreas doesn't release enough digestive enzymes to break down food. But EPI can be managed. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and talk to your doctor about your symptoms. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
This holiday season, Capital One reminds you to give yourself the gift of 1.5% cash back with the Capital One Quicksilver Card.
Can I earn 1.5% cash back on birds?
Birds?
What if you sent your true love 2 turtle doves plus a partridge in a pear tree?
Sure, but why would anyone want that?
The song was very convincing.
Earn 1.5% cash back on all your holiday purchases with the Capital One Quicksilver Card. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com for details. Boost Mobile is giving families the holiday gift they really want. When you switch to Boost, get an iPhone 11 for only $49.99 or a free Samsung Galaxy A23. You'll get amazing service too, because only Boost switches between the top networks to give you the best service. So stop by a Boost Mobile store and give the gift of Boost. That's an iPhone 11 for $49.99 or a free Samsung Galaxy A23. Get yours at a Boost Mobile store today. Visit boostmobile.com for details. New customers and in-store only. Requires auto pay and ID verification. Other restrictions apply. See participating dealers for details.
Have you Googled yourself lately? Are there negative posts from an ex-employee or from a former client?
maybe an outdated news article, or sensitive personal information about your family. Search engines don't always get it right. For right or wrong, it's your reputation on the line. That's where Reputation Defender by Norton comes in. One of the most trusted names in online reputation repair, Reputation Defender has been fixing people's search results for over 15 years. Their cutting-edge approaches help you to wipe away unwanted information in your search results. They also promote the good stuff so that it rises to the top, helping you put your best foot forward. Your good name is too valuable to leave to the whims of a Google algorithm. Take control with Reputation Defender. You can start by getting your free reputation report card at reputationdefender.com or call 800-401-6681 to speak to an expert. That's 800-401-6681.
Justin Kinner, Nick Kirby, the mic is on. You're good to go. We're good. Justin Kinner, Nick Kirby, live here at Redsfest, Duke Energy Convention Center. We are Dayton's radio home of the Cincinnati Reds, 1410 ESPN radio, and we're super excited to be here like we are each and every Saturday of Redsfest. Today, just it's a much different feel at Redsfest here this season compared to the last couple, of course, and a lot of excitement, a lot of excited Reds fans here in attendance. I mean, it's a sea of red everywhere we go, but Nick Kirby, Chatterbox Sports, partnering up with us again here this season. We're pretty excited, Nick, having fun today. That first hour flew by.
Yeah, I can't believe it's already 12:15. It really did fly by. But we are joined now by Reds General Manager Brad Metter, just promoted right at the end of September as Nick Krall got promoted to the president. What's it like since the promotion for you?
You know, I've been asked that a lot. Honestly, it's really not a whole lot different. I think like a lot of times, a lot of places, you kind of already doing a job before it actually becomes official. So last year, I was already doing a lot of the stuff that I'll be doing this year. I've been the scouting director. I'm very involved in the draft and player development. I'll continue to do that. The biggest change for me will just be more time with David and the Major League staff and the Major League team. But for the most part, business as usual.
And good for you, I mean, to take over as a GM of a team that has, well, there's not a lot of money on the books, so there's plenty of money to spend. You have quite the deep, farm system, of course, and all this youth on the roster. It's a pretty exciting time right now. I always think I'd be a great GM until fantasy baseball hits, and then I'm like, oh, man, I am absolutely, put your money where your mouth is. Whew, I am not very good at that. But, right, it's an exciting time in Reds country, obviously, and a great opportunity coming in right now and taking over this current situation. Just in your eyes, from a GM's perspective, the situation in Cincinnati is what?
Oh, it's super exciting. We feel like we're in a great spot. Last year, being able to bring a lot of the young kids here for the second half of the season, we felt like that was great. It was really exciting. It's a great foundation. It's a good start. We still have to keep going. And so this is what we've really focused on over the last 3 or 4 years, is building something that is sustainable. And Nick has talked about it a lot. And that starts with player acquisition. It starts with the international signees. It starts with the draft. It starts with the trades that we made 2 years ago and what we got back in return there. And so it's all our scouting, all our acquisitions. And then to your point, now it's a good foundation. It's a good start. How do we put the pieces around it? And for us right now, the biggest thing is putting the right kind of people that fit with this team. And if you look at the two guys that we just signed, Nick Martinez and Emilio Pagan, I think anyone would tell you they're great pitchers. They're also great people. they're good with young players. They care about Nick Martinez. He's the flexibility that he brings to be able to pitch in different situations as a starter, as a reliever. We have a lot of that on our team. We have a lot of players who really don't care. They would love to play shortstop or they'd love to play third base, but they really just want to play and win and play together. And you guys have seen that. And so it is a great time to be here. I'm really excited about what this team can do this year and beyond.
This might sound like a silly question because it's never a bad thing to win when you're not expected to win. But when the team started winning at the level of which they were winning last year, being atop the division and really put the front office in a weird spot at the trade deadline, you headed into last season knowing the big picture plan, the developmental plan for a lot of these young guys. Well, it seemed like everyone was playing ahead of schedule. The team's winning ahead of schedule. How tough is that to stick to the plan? You don't want to veer off too far from the plan just for that hot streak that they were in at the time. How tough is that to balance that of not wanting to overreact to the current moment and sticking to the plan big picture, but also trying to balance out, hey, we have an opportunity here too. Is that tough to balance out for you and your team in the front office?
Yeah, yes and no. I think we always felt like to be the group that we had a chance to really start this window, right? And we hope that it's a long window. That's the plan. That, like we said, we sustain it. We felt like 24, we would be in that position. Matt McClain and Ellie De La Cruz and Nick Martin, they pushed us. They were ready. We felt like they were ready. And when they got here, they did exactly what we hoped they would and thought they would. It just was half a season before. And so then, and I'm sure David probably talked to you guys about this, really it was just they were only focused on today. They had their head down. The whole group had their head down, and they were just focused on today. And I really believe that was part of the success was they weren't looking at the big picture. They weren't looking at, can we make the playoffs? They were just looking at, can we win today?
Yep.
The trick is, how do we continue that? How do we keep them in that mindset and that grind? And I do believe that the coaching staff that we have, we talked about it on the big stages, it's really important to have a major league staff who can continue with that development process when young players get here, because as long as you're going to have young players on your roster, which we're always going to have a staff that can continue to develop those guys once they get to the big leagues. The development can't end when they get here because they're not always completely ready. They're not going to be.
You talked a little bit about Nick Martinez, but the other pitcher that you signed, Emilio Pagan, pretty big commitment to him, $8 million. I think your highest paid reliever was less than $2 million last year. What made him the right fit for the Reds, and you kind of feel like that big commitment towards this year with the signing of him?
Yeah, a lot of it, like I talked about, was just the makeup of the person, the player. He can pitch in the back end of a game. He fits in the back part of a bullpen. Look, the way pitching is going and Major League Baseball is going, you're trying to shorten the game, right? And so no one's pitching 200-plus innings anymore. And so we're looking at, when we get to the 6th and 7th inning, how can we shorten that game? And he fits in that. He can pitch the 8th inning. He can pitch the 9th inning. He's done it. He's pitched in playoff games. That's super important for where we're going.
I remember I was looking through his numbers. He had a really great September. Didn't give up a run in the playoffs. I think like last 11. Was what he did at the end of the year really attractive to you, especially with the way that your bullpen did struggle a little bit at the end of the year? Probably more fatigue, just how they really grinded through the whole year and had everyone really stayed healthy all last year in the bullpen.
Yes, absolutely. The end of the year matters. The end of the year and the playoffs, being able to pitch in those environments, in those situations, that's what we need. We need guys not only to be able to do that, we need guys to show our younger kids how to do that and what it looks like and how to get to October and how to pitch in October. We have a young group. That's great. It's really fun. There's a ton of energy to that, but they haven't played playoff baseball. They haven't played in October. That's where we're trying to get to. So we need some guys to put around them that can show them the way.
Heading into this offseason, when you start prioritizing needs, it's easy just to say pitching, and you've addressed a couple pitching needs already. When you prioritize the needs and the plan for the offseason, is it pitching that's at the top of that list? Like what from a Reds perspective, what's that number one priority of addressing this to enhance and build upon what the success was last year to make, to go a step further in 2024?
Yeah, no, that's right. We look at anything we can do to improve our team. Doesn't matter the position. If it fits for us and we think it's an improvement, we're going to go down that road. But the priority coming into the season was innings. Where can we get more innings? Where can we get length? Whether it's length, Martinez versatility to be able to pitch out of the bullpen and give you length, or start and give you length, but we just need more innings. We need more quality innings. So whether it comes from a starter or just more relievers who can give you length, either way works. We need more quality innings.
So you got a big couple of weeks here. Winter meetings start tomorrow?
Yes, tomorrow. We leave tomorrow. Starts tomorrow night.
All right. So I'm sure you're not going to give me all the insider secrets, but what is what are the winter meetings like for you? How many, is there just conversations all over the place? What is that like for you as a GM?
Well, it's become so big that it's really just crazy. We had the GM meetings in Phoenix a couple of weeks ago in Scottsdale. That's a smaller group. It's easier to do work with other teams in the GM meetings because there's just not as many people there. The winter meetings has just become so big. It's in Nashville. It's at the Opryland Hotel. And so when you walk to the lobby, there's so many people just grabbing you that it's hard to grab another GM from another team or actually get any work done. And we're also at a point where so much of it is done through text messaging and phone calls now. It's not like it used to be where deals got done on cocktail napkins at the bar at 11 o'clock at night. But it's still a good time to, see other people, connect with other teams. We do some interviews for baseball operations staff. We have a couple of scout interviews going on. So it'll be busy. But you guys know there's just usually not as many deals get done. There'll be a couple of big splashes. But for the most part, it's just connecting with everyone.
So more like groundwork.
He said there'd be some big splashes. What big splashes? The Reds big splashes?
No, I can't comment on that.
Fair enough. Back to the mature question.
So you
I saw you jumping in.
Yeah. So you also have some other interesting things at the winter meetings, the Rule 5 draft, the draft lottery. What are those two things like for you?
Well, the Rule 5 draft, it's everyone knows what it is. I mean, you're just looking at players who have been left unprotected for other teams that you could draft in the Rule 5 draft. It's an exciting 20 minutes. It used to be the last thing of the winter meetings, so everyone would show up with their suitcases in the lobby, and they would run the draft, and everyone would roll right to grabbing taxis and Ubers. Now it's actually the day before, so it's not the last thing you do. But it is always interesting, and you just kind of cross your fingers that you don't lose anyone, and maybe you can pick up something that makes sense for you. The lottery is, it's a new thing. Last year was the first year. We didn't do well, so Joe Katuska, our scouting director, we kicked him out. He can't go back to the lottery. We're going to have Devin Mesoraco do it for us, and hopefully he has better luck, and we'll see how it turns out.
When you talk about, some splashes, obviously not with but just in general, teams across baseball, how tough is it? Again, you have a plan. And you're sticking to that plan, but then, oh man, the Cardinals make a big move, or the Cubs if they get Shohei Ohtani, Jesus. But they make a big splash. And guys to stop and maybe pivot, or is it just simply about what we have to do to better our team, or is it reactionary to some big moves if other teams in the division make a splash?
Yeah, we can't react to other teams. To say we're not paying attention would not be being truthful. We're paying attention. It's impossible not to. We know what's going on around us. But we have a plan. We're focused on our plan. We believe in what we're doing. And so we will do everything we can to execute our plan and not worry about what everyone else around us is doing.
A fair expectation for the Reds in 24 is division, wild card, playoffs in general, just as we sit right now.
Yeah, we want to win the division.
Fair enough.
We want to be in the playoffs.
I like that.
Yeah.
No one's arguing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Contract extensions for young players. That's kind of an interesting topic. Last year, you guys were able to get something done with Hunter Green right before the start of the season. That's something you guys are hoping maybe you could at least get one done this offseason?
Yeah, I mean, that's something that we talk about. We're open to. Each guy's different, and so we're open to that. We're constantly looking at that. Hopefully we feel really strongly about the group we have, and hopefully we can have some of them here for a long time.
So this upcoming season, we talked to David about this, but you feel like you have a more set roster. Obviously, there's going to be changes. You're going to have injuries. You're going to have other players that are still going to make their debuts next year. But it feels like you have better continuity going into next year. Do you feel like that kind of gives you at least a little bit of an advantage going into April this upcoming year, as opposed to last year where you were kind of putting a roster together for April and then putting an entire different roster together by the time June rolled around.
Oh, for sure. And we knew that was going to happen going into it. And so you're careful how you're approaching the offseason last year, because you're hoping that it's not going to be for the whole season, because you're going to need room for these kids to come up and play. Once that happened, now we're set. We have a pretty good core. We have a really good core to work around, and hopefully that does serve us well, and it is an advantage going into this year. They know what it looks like. They've done it. They know each other. They've played together. They know what the group looks like. The clubhouse is really good. And so, I think it's a huge advantage for us this year. And I don't think we'll have changes like last year. We shouldn't.
Obviously, one of the all-time Reds greats, Joey Votto. I mean, you get promoted to GM and you have to make, they throw you into the fire. You got to make this decision. How tough was that? Because that's not an easy one. The decision made on Joey Votto. Just what was that decision? How hard was that decision to make, and what went into that? Because that couldn't have been easy.
No, and honestly, it was, Nick was the one that talked to Joey. Nick has had the long relationship with Joey. I certainly know Joey. I respect Joey. We all do. We love Joey. Joey's a huge part of the Cincinnati Reds, and he always will be. He's a Hall of Fame player. We have a young team. They need at-bats. It's just where we are, and Joey knows that. Joey understands that. He couldn't have been better last year to this group of players. I mean, he went so far out of his way to help these players. He cares so much about the Reds and what's next, knowing that he won't be a part of it. The amount of love and care that he has for this city and this organization is incredible. So it's tough for all of us, but he'll always be a part of us. And, once he's done playing, I'm sure he'll be a bigger part of us again.
Feels like recently the Reds have had a much more of an emphasis on international scouting and development and acquisition of players. Talk to me a little bit about that. I know you guys opened the Dominican Summer Academy last year, and just kind of that emphasis within the organization.
It's huge. I was just down there with Jeff Grappe and Trey Hendricks, our international scouting director. Same thing. Like, we're going to build this through scouting and player development. International has to be a part of that. The draft, you can only do, no matter how well you do in the draft, you can't have enough players just from the draft. It has to come from international, has to come from amateur, and has to come from pro trades, free agents. So the international is huge. I was just down there. I saw our young kids that are just 16 and 17 years old that we have in the academy. And I can tell you, after watching them for 3 or 4 days, it's really exciting. We have a lot of really good stuff going down there. The academy is beautiful. We're putting more money into it. Bob and Phil have really committed to the money and the building and the complex down there. We're adding on to it. It's going to be a huge part of what we do.
Talked about that, but obviously the farm system, vast improvement, obviously there. I mean, it's one thing. These guys aren't coming in finished products. They're coming up because of the development and obviously the talent that's all, in the system, but to have the strong teams in place to be able to develop them and have them ready for when you do call them up. Just talk about the health of the farm system for the Reds and how key and pivotal that is in sustaining the success moving forward.
Yes, the most important thing is putting players into that system, but then also developing them, make sure that we are all aligned on how we're developing them. Sean Pender and Jeremy Farrell have done a great job leading that. I feel very strongly about what we're doing, both on the pitching side and the position player side. We have players, we have really good prospects at every level. So we're really excited about it. Again, we graduated a bunch of young kids. Do think that there's a little bit of a gap at our upper level AAA this year. We still have some good players there. We have Christian Rowe. We are going to, Spires could end up there. We have Phillips. We have Reese Hines, who we just added to the roster. Jacob Pertubes, Blake Dunn, who was our Player of the Year last year. So there's a lot of exciting players in AAA, but there is a little bit of a gap. And if you look back at the 2025 round draft, because of COVID, that's where that group is, right? So we knew it was going to happen. We knew how big of a hit that was going to be to a team like us, to an organization like us, and we can see where it is. Luckily, we're in good shape at the major league level, and we have a bunch of young kids coming behind it. But you can see the effect that had on every organization, but especially one who's relying on scouting and player development as much as we are.
No doubt. Well, it's an exciting time in Reds country beyond. Appreciate you taking time and hanging out with us. And is it February, March yet? Is the season here yet?
I wish. I'm ready.
My goodness. But thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
Appreciate
Thanks for what you do. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
All right. We'll step away for a few moments. We'll close out our live special here from the Duke Energy Convention Center. Justin Kinner, Nick Kirby, Chatterbox Sports live here at Redsfest. We'll be right back.
$5,000 sign-on bonus. That's right. My friends at Cordell Transportation are now hiring experienced Class A CDL drivers with excellent work history. If that's you, apply now. Cordell Transportation offers home daily dedicated lanes, no-touch freight, and brand new equipment, plus a $5,000 sign-on bonus paid over 18 months, paid orientation, and company 401k with company match. Apply online at CordellTransportation.com. Cordell Transportation, driven to succeed.
O'Reilly. You've got questions? O'Reilly Auto Parts has answers. Need a pro you can trust? We've got that too. No matter what you need, our professional parts people have the training and expertise to help you do things right. Deep automotive knowledge. Just one part that makes O'Reilly stand apart. The professional parts people. O'Reilly Auto Parts.
The smarter way to clean your floors. It's time to make the swap. Swiffer Power Mop.
Introducing the new Swiffer Power Mop, the all-in-one tool that gives you a mop and bucket clean in half the time. The solution's built right in, so no heavy bucket, and the pad has hundreds of scrubbing strips to get deep into grout. Don't mop harder, mop smarter.
Swiffer Power Mop. Swiffer Power Mop.
Hi, I'm Henry Winkler. My eyes are very important to me. My eyes connect me with things I love. I loved my late father-in-law dearly. He always lit up a room, but his vision dimmed with age. He had age-related macular degeneration, or AMD. And since partnering with Apellis, I've learned there's an advanced form of the disease called geographic atrophy, or GA. His struggle with vision loss made me want to help others know about GA's warning signs. For some, straight lines seem wavy, like when looking at a door frame. For others, blurry or missing spots can make it hard to read or see loved ones' faces. Many have trouble seeing in low light, making driving at night difficult. GA gets worse over time and cannot be reversed. If you've been diagnosed with AMD and notice vision changes, don't wait. Talk to your eye doctor about GA today. Learn more at GAWon'tWait.com. That's GAWon'tWait.com.
Save big money on your next project right now at Menards. Insulate your home and save on energy costs with Owens Corning Pink Foamular Insulation. Foamular insulation panels are moisture resistant and rugged enough to be used anywhere, even underground. Plus, these pink panels are available in many different sizes and thicknesses to fit any project. Pick up your pink insulation panels and start saving today. Remember, a Menards gift card makes a great gift.
Warm season's greetings to you all from Menards.
Hey, it's Justin Kinner from the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash. We appreciate all of our listeners and, of course, our sponsors. In fact, if it wasn't for you, we wouldn't be able to do what we do every weekday from 3 to 6 p.m. right here on 1410 ESPN Radio. We take pride in being Dayton's only local afternoon sports talk show right here in the Miami Valley. If you would like to jump in as a sponsor of our show or promote your services within our show, all you have to do is reach out to us directly by texting us at 937-518-1410. Want Kevin and I to endorse your business and services? Just text us. You want to promote an open house, a grand opening, new location, or any other kind of service? Just text us. Bottom line is that we are here to help spread the word and help grow your business. Text us today, 937-518-1410, and we'll give you all of the information that you need to start promoting your business on the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash right here on 1410 ESPN Radio. All right, everybody, we welcome you back. Justin Kinner, Nick Kirby, live here at Redsfest, Duke Energy Convention Center. They always say time flies when you're having fun. This program started at 11, and we're already down to our final portion of the show. So, yeah, time flies when you're having fun, I guess. But
yeah, this is absolutely flown by. I cannot believe it's already to our last guest of the day, but save the best for last.
Yeah,
I appreciate it. Thank you guys for having me.
Yeah, Mr. Hunter Green hanging
sir.
out with us.
Yes, sir.
We appreciate your time. We appreciate
What's up, guys?
Appreciate your time. Again, you're very, very popular. Everyone's been following you all over the place, and so we appreciate that you're able to sit down with us and give us a little time.
Yeah, of course.
We were talking. Your first Reds Fest was back in 2017, and my eyes got big. I'm like, oh yeah, you have been around a minute. Like I feel like you just got here, but it's heading into 2024. It's not your first time, obviously, at Reds Fest. Just talk about the vibe of this year's Reds Fest compared to years past, and just you as you
I mean,
come along.
I mean, every year is unbelievable. I tell guys that are signed with our team or new players that get traded over. This is by far the best fan fest that anybody will ever experience, from team to team and in the big league. So, for our new players that have come over, and we don't have any new draft picks, but just some of our new guys and 40-man guys that are here, they're blown away, and obviously we appreciate that as players, having support from the fan base, from the city. It means a lot. So I think it gives us that extra motivation going into the season, knowing that you guys are behind us and that you support us. And, I know there's ups and downs that come with the season, but to see you guys continue to support us and be passionate about the game and specifically the Reds means a lot. But it's cool I love being here. My favorite thing, man, from, just sitting down and like hitting all the different booths is being able to see, the kids grow up too. Like, people show me pictures from, like you said, from 2017 or from 3 or 4 years ago. And now their kids, like, they have beards or they, you know what I mean? So like everybody's growing, and it's cool to see that. I've been going here since 2017, and so have their kids, so I love to be able to see the growth and be able to like connect on that level is always fun.
Let's go back a little bit. So opening day, you were the opening day starter for the Reds. What was that like? Was that an honor for you to be an opening day starter in a town that really embraces opening day like no other town does?
Yeah, man. It's, I was just talking to somebody about it the other day. I didn't know that the Reds were the first team to play for opening day. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah. I didn't know that. So I'd love to get back to that. That would be awesome. But yeah, pitching opening day was super special. And, to kind of understand the rich culture and the baseball history here in the city of Cincinnati means a lot, and we have so much talent. We have tremendous talent, specifically with our starters. So to be able to have that honor meant a lot to me.
Opening day last year, just a completely different Reds team on opening day compared to the Reds roster and team, in the final, game 162. Just you thinking back to opening day. Could you just how wild it is, how different how different of a season ended up being compared to what many people had anticipated, even on that opening day?
Yeah, I already loved the team that we had going into opening day, but stuff happens throughout the season. You have injuries, you have trades, you have all these different types of movement throughout the season and with the team. So as you guys could see from the season, there were some new players that were coming in, and it was still so exciting. And I felt even an extra push of excitement and talent, coming in towards the middle to the end of the season. So knowing that a lot of those guys are returning, are going to be with us for spring training and opening day, just brings that much more excitement to the 2024 season.
Down the stretch last year in September, you had, of course, that huge start against the Minnesota Twins, a really dominant start. Do you feel like those starts that kind of had almost a playoff type feel really helps give you a leg up going into next season?
Yeah, for sure. I would love to have more of those 14 strikeout type games. That would be awesome. But yeah, man, that atmosphere was great. And especially our City Connect nights, Friday nights, and being able to look out into the stadium and see like a sea of black jerseys and shirts is always really cool. So being able to play in those environments, that's what we play for. We want to be in those, high pressure situations and be in those moments, because that's what we work for in the off season. That's what we work for in spring training. We don't work to just play, easier games or games where we don't feel that type of excitement or pressure, So anytime that we have that turnout from fans and we have that type of atmosphere, like you said, it gives us a little bit of that leg up, and it motivates us that much more to go out and, be the best that we can be when we cross those lines.
you're obviously super competitive. You expect to win when you go out there, but was there a certain stretch of when you guys started taking off last year that caught you by surprise a little bit, like maybe being a year ahead of schedule, or just the fact that you have all these rookies coming in? You're like, man, we're winning even with all these rookies. I mean, was there a point where you were even surprised at the way the team was playing at such a high level last year?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't use the word surprised, but I knew that, and it's one of amongst a lot of reasons as why I wanted to sign the contract and be here. But I knew that we had so much talent coming into this organization and into this city and this team. So knowing that, I was like, man, of course I'd want to stay and be a part of that. So I wouldn't say surprised, but we expect that. We expect the best out of ourselves. We have expectations, amongst ourselves, and we want to perform at the highest level. So seeing that we were able to do that and produce that type of talent and that excitement on the field, I wasn't surprised. I was like, man, I knew we were going to be able to do that. I didn't know when, right? I didn't know it was going to be that soon, that early, but it's just a great sign that, one, we have the talent, but we have the work ethic to go with it. So when you put those two together, greatness is bound to happen.
From the pitching side, when you came up, you were the top prospect. You were on the cover of Sports Illustrated. But then this year, it was on the offensive side. It was Ellie Mania. What was Ellie Mania like for you, seeing him come up and having that instant success that he had?
Yeah, really obviously an amazing talent. What's even better about him, he's such a great person. He's such a great teammate. He's always willing to learn. He's always asking questions. I can see his wheels, turning, and he's always thinking when he's out there, always trying to have that extra edge, even though I feel like he doesn't necessarily need an edge with all the skills that he has, but he's always looking for, that little extra, to get him to either steal a base or, to be able to be on time for a certain pitch or make a play. So when you see that from somebody that already has all the talent in the world, that there is tremendous upside, but it's just super exciting to have him on the team, for him to be a part of this organization. And I'm sure it's exciting for you guys to be able to go to the field every day knowing that you're going to see something special come from Ellie and come from the rest of the team. So I love just being on the bench and just watching him do his thing. So
players outside of Cincinnati, I know you did a podcast this summer with Mookie Betts. Talk a little bit about that experience with Mookie, and is there any other players across baseball that you've kind of connected with?
Yeah, I mean, obviously Mookie's a great player, another really awesome guy. But yeah, when he reached out to me, I was like, yeah, I would love to hop on and just talk about stuff other than baseball. Yeah, there were baseball questions, there was baseball specific, but a lot of it was, stuff off the field. And I think that's what's always fun about doing podcasts or interviews, is talking about stuff that a lot of people don't see, our interests, what we love to do away from the baseball field. And Mookie did a great job with that. And I'm sure there's a bunch of other players that, are doing podcasts or want to get into it. So it's fun to do. And especially when it doesn't feel like an interview, it just feels like a simple conversation. Those are the best. So he does a really good job with that.
We get fans that call in all the time if we're criticizing baseball. So they'll say baseball doesn't do a good job of marketing their stars. And I feel like that's regurgitated a lot. And I'm just curious from a player's perspective, what do you think that means when listeners or when fans say that baseball doesn't market their stars enough? How do you perceive that? What is your takeaway on that as a player? Do you think baseball markets their players well?
Yeah, I mean, we have a lot of work to do, but I think the biggest thing is being able to create, that relatable feel with fans and with players. I think NBA, for example, does an amazing job with that, and they allow for players to be able to truly tell their stories. When I think of other teams, I don't really follow teams, and I'm not talking baseball, I'm talking basketball, other sports. I follow the player, right? And everybody's different. I understand loving a team, but like for me personally, I love following individual people and players, and it's usually because I can relate to them in some sort of capacity, right? So for me, that's what I love. I think MLB is doing a better job at that, but I believe that that's going to be number one, is trying to have more player fan access, which I think is always fun. I love going to the field and seeing everybody come out and try and interact with people as much as I can during batting practice or, before I play catch or a bullpen or something like that. So I think baseball is, like I said, doing a better job, but there's little parts of the business side that they can get better at, for example, with that.
Real quick, because we just got the wrap it up. So I'll ask one or two more questions real quick. But opening day starter last year. You're viewed as the ace of the staff, and there was a lot of question marks about the staff. Obviously Lodolo coming, another year with you too. But then stars started to be developed as the season went on. How much pressure did that take off of you of knowing that, okay, there's depth now in this rotation? Obviously, there's still room to add more, of course, and pitching's been added already this offseason. But did you feel like some of that pressure was taken off you a bit as the depth of the rotation started to increase as the season went on?
Yeah, I never thought of it that way as like, oh my gosh, I have all this weight lift, because at the end of the day, it's a team sport. I can't do this alone, and there's so much talent and so many great players that we have on our team, specifically our starting pitchers. So, it's great to be able to get that support and be able to have an opportunity to come together as a unit, come together as a team, and be able to produce. But, I don't know if you guys have been able to see it, but we have such great chemistry as a team as a whole, but specifically our starters, we're constantly talking on the bench, or, we're locked in on each other's bullpens. When we throw bullpens throughout the week, we like to go and support each other and, stand in on the bullpens and be able to watch. So our chemistry and what you guys see goes well beyond the baseball field.
We have time for one more, Nick.
Yeah, so, we could definitely see that. You could feel that chemistry from afar. You just added two new pitchers this week. What's your thoughts on Martinez and Pagan coming in, and you got to meet them today so far?
Yeah, so I actually got to meet them yesterday, and they were awesome, man. I mean, very short conversation. Obviously, I haven't known them long, but from my interaction with them yesterday, seemed like really solid dudes. And, I know they're trying to get kind of like, used to the area and kind of checking out neighborhoods and stuff, seeing where they want to stay during the season, which is all great. But, yeah, obviously really fun to watch. I was talking to Martinez about his changeup, and wanting to, learn more from him on specifically that pitch. I'm sure maybe some other things that decide to come up during the season. But, I'm always looking to get better and ask questions. And you don't take everything, right? Certain things work for you, some things don't. But if you can take little pieces and learn from them as much as you can, it's always very beneficial. So all of those guys are going to be great. But I'm looking forward to seeing who else we bring as well.
We're looking forward to the upcoming season, no doubt. Hunter Green, you're in high demand. I know they're about to pull you to your next stop. So thank you, man, so much.
Thank you, guys.
Appreciate you.
Yeah.
You're the best.
Thank
Appreciate
you,
it, man.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for listening.
All right, Justin Kidder, Nick Kirby, live here at Redsfest. And as we, have our final and we have our closing thoughts here as we wrap this up, Nick. Again, I think the theme of today, buzz and excitement through the roof. Everyone's ready for next season. Obviously, a couple big additions already being made this offseason, maybe still more to come. But the bottom line is getting to see that the batch of rookies from last year head into their second year, and the expectations there of, man, what kind of stride are they going to make? The sky's the limit for this team, and it's really, really exciting.
Yeah, it's now building upon the foundation that you laid in 2023, and the Reds have as good of a foundation as anyone. But how do you avoid that sophomore slump? Because that's a real thing for a lot of these guys. But there's definitely just like seeing Will Benson walk off the stage and getting mobbed, a guy that wasn't even on this team this time last year, is just really cool to see. And it'll be interesting. This is a fascinating week. Reds just signed two guys earlier in the week. You have Redsfest this weekend, and then the winter meetings. There'll definitely be a lot of buzz. I don't know if the Reds will make a big move. I know Brad kind of downplayed that. We'll see. That they've done it before, but I don't think the Reds are done adding players. I don't know how much more they're going to add, but it doesn't seem like this was. It felt like this was the first of a couple moves, not the towards the end of their plans for the offseason.
Yeah, you talk about you don't want this to happen, but the sophomore slump, that's a real thing that happens. But usually a lot of times a team that'll have one or two rookies in the lineup, okay, you worry about those one or two, but now you got a whole dang lineup full of second-year players that you're hoping that doesn't become the case. But we get the vibe that that's not the case with this core, and that's what the hope is. And I think, one thing Hunter Green talks about too with the new addition, talking about his changeup and stuff. It's like, that's where not having a lot of experience in the rotation is a talking point, because now you get experienced guys coming into the clubhouse. Now you have the young core who's able to pick their brains. That's why Joey Votto was so important for the Reds last year, just from a clubhouse leader standpoint.
Yeah, the Reds do have some depth. That's good. So if one of these players, or one or two of these players do have, that sophomore slump, you're not completely relying on them. I think the Reds do have a pretty deep lineup. I would still like to see them go out and add a big right-handed power bat to really kind of solidify that lineup. But they do have some depth. I know guys like Blake Dunn and Jacob Hurtubise really flew through the system last year. They look like they're pretty close to major league ready. and they're probably going to start the year at AAA unless there's some injuries in spring training. So there is some depth, but we would like to see them, make one more move, really solidify that lineup.
Leo ago at this time, we knew there were stars through the system. We knew about Ellie De La Cruz. We knew about Matt McClain. We knew Spencer Steer. But we didn't know that they were going to be stars on the main roster. So we're sitting here now. We're talking about the guys that we know from last year. There's going to be some big names coming up through the system. Name bats you just talked about. A year from now, we'll be talking about names that we're not talking about today. And that's just the depth of the system, too, adding to what we've already seen be called up to the main roster, no doubt. So, but that wraps it up. We're done. That wraps it up today. But unfortunately, our time is up out here. But this is such an amazing experience for Reds fans. Thank you for everyone that's been kind of hanging out in front of us, taking in the lineup of guests that have been coming through. I want to give a shout out to Joe Zerhusen, Jamie Ramsey, and everyone in the back that's been kind of just feeding us the guests throughout and helping us organize this. But this is a lot of fun. I look forward to this every year, and it's been cool working with you guys here this year as well.
Yeah, Justin, I really appreciate you bringing Chatterbox Sports along with you for this. It's been a great partnership, and I really enjoyed this today. And like you said, man, it's going to be a long time till February, huh?
Yeah, and you guys, I give you guys credit. Like, you did the post games. 162, those are some West Coast post games. Those are some little tough loss post
Sunday
games.
in Oakland.
It's easy when you're winning 12 straight, but, so good for you guys. That's commitment right there. But, all right, everyone, thank you so much. Thank you to Adam back in the WING studios holding it down. 1410 Wing AM in Dayton, Ohio. We are Dayton's radio home of the Cincinnati Reds, and we love that we still have that partnership going year in and year out. Until next season, this has been Redsfest 2023 on Dayton's radio home of the Reds, 1410 ESPN Radio.
Jim Gaffigan here with some more Straight Talk. Now you can get a Walmart Plus membership, plus not pay for it, because it's included with Straight Talk wireless plans.